Yeah, you got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable, man. So we're going to break the ice with everybody's favorite topic. Yeah, let's talk politics. Yeah, politics is a really hard subject to talk about, though, because you have to pick a side, in this two-party system. You have to pick a side, and if you ever try to mediate in between, the other side just fear-mongers you to death. And it's like, are we trying to vote for the future leaders, or which alcoholic co-parent we want to have custody? And another big issue is that the structure and the foundation of our government was written over 200 years ago. A lot has changed in 200 years. 200 years ago, a man could grab a woman by the pussy, and it would be called true love. Nowadays, if you grab a woman by the pussy, you're called Mr. President. Already has, but yeah. I will say this though, America was a lot cooler when we had a black president. Say what you want, Obama was a G, man. You see, he was at a 9:30 appointment directing missile strikes in the Middle East, and by noon he was practicing his jump shot. Yeah, and I heard instead of Kobe, anytime he splashed a three, he would just yell out, Syria. Yeah, Obama also, he did a lot for racial ties in America. And I know you're probably wondering, like, Hunter, you don't look that old. Like, what did you see happen? Well, I remember my grandfather's face, the difference in my grandfather's face after the 2008 election and the 2012 election. And in 2012, he actually voted for Obama, which it was a big thing for me because my grandfather was a real traditional man. He was born in 1943. He was a Marine that served in Vietnam and racist. Yeah, and I don't really blame him though, because back then, if you weren't racist, you were gay, which is kind of crazy because nowadays, if you're not gay, you're a racist. That's a bad one. Growing up, I always rode two wheels, man. I love dirt bikes. Anybody here ever rode dirt bikes before? Yeah, bitches. Okay. So I rode dirt bikes all my life growing up, and I was like, now I'm an adult, and I really wanted a big boy bike, like something to really impress the 15-year-old kids. Yeah, but I have a wife and a daughter now, so I got some rules, and one of those is I cannot have a motorcycle. But I have a dual sport, and a dual sport is pretty much just a street legal dirt bike. And they're really cool, it's really nice to have, but having a dual sport's like having a Subaru. You look really adventurous and cool, but also like you take a dick up the ass. I hate porn nowadays, man. Technology has made porn horrible. We've got their hands on it. Porn nowadays, nothing's worse than a perfect set of fake tits, high production costs, and a story that'll never happen. Yeah, no, but you still gotta do what you gotta do. So when I watch porn, I like to watch homemade porn, because I need to see the single mother that's gotta pay the light bill before going to pick the kids up. Nowadays, everybody's really fragile and soft, like so soft you can't talk about anything. In my generation especially, everybody likes to walk around with all this trauma. And I'm a huge believer in the worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you. But the problem is, everybody uses it as an excuse. You see, anybody under the age of 30 that says they had trauma is just trying to excuse their drug addiction. But anybody over the age of 30 is just trying to excuse their failed marriages. Speaking of failed marriages, my mother's been married 8 times. Yeah. And I was talking to her the other day, and she could see something was off with me, and she went, so what's going on, son? And I just had to look at my mother dead in her eyes. I was like, well, Mama, the pussy's only got 9 eyes. gotta keep him, man. We gotta keep him. Yeah, speaking of my mom smoked a lot of cigarettes, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, I hate cigarettes. It's the worst thing ever. Especially being in a car with somebody that smokes cigarettes. You know, you're just sitting in the back seat on the way to school, and she flicks that butt out and just hits you in the eye. It's great. It's great. The problem with secondhand smoking is that you get all the risk and none of the rewards. You know, it's kind of like dating a black guy with a small dick. Don't do it. Yeah, also, I had an apartment dad for a little bit. Yeah, apartment dads are pretty sick for the most part. You know, there's a lot of like liquor bottles lying around, sloppy joes, little Debbies. Not the food, but Joe was my dad's friend that lived on the couch. And little Debbie was his midget girlfriend. Yeah, it was cool, man, but it was kind of like a midlife crisis frat house. And, you know, we called it his 600 square feet of freedom. 2 beds, 1 bath, bachelor pad. And for the most part, my dad really enjoyed it. Until late at night when the family of 4 above him was reading bedtime stories. Just crying. Yeah, I get that I look like Forrest Gump a lot. That if he developed a heroin addiction, did run. Which most of you probably think that's pretty sad, but I don't mind it. Forrest Gump's a great underdog story. And who doesn't love an underdog story? You know, you got Rudy, you got Remember the Titans, and you got To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. With speaking of technology ruining everything, my wife is a little bit older than me, so we have really different views on technology, and she just thinks that like the world's ending anytime ChatGPT or AI gets brought up, and I have to act like I care, but all I can think about is an AI hand job. Yeah, just they take in the information and learn from it. AI's been around for like 15 years. Women have been around for thousands. And they still haven't got that update. All right, thank you. That's my time. We're going to have a little intermission, so if you want a drink, go get you a drink.